Hi, I'm MrByZ, and long last, I'm finally going to take a look at the big AT-AT that was put out back in, was that 2010? Yes. This thing dwarfed over the previous AT-ATs, dwarfs over the AT-ACT we got recently. This is one of the coolest toys that Hasbro has definitely put out. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Here's just a look at the giant AT-AT to begin with, compared to the vintage AT-AT. You can see how much taller it stands there, and I actually checked this. This Legacy AT-AT from 2010 stands about the same height as my 7-month-old son. So, no, of course he can't stand. But, if you hold it about next to him, it's about the same size. So let's get into this and take a look. Too much further on this AT-AT. I want to make sure you know, if you want to know more about the history of the AT-AT toys made by Hasbro and Kenner, you can go back and check my episode number 15. That's way back, episode 15. Was just after I got the AT-ACT from Rogue One, and I did a whole history of the different AT-ATs, so you can check that out. The detail on this AT-AT is pretty cool. We've got, go through all the different things open. We got sounds and lights, and you can see even on the legs there seems to be more detail, even like these little things before, which, at one point I thought in the movie might be something they were using to control the models when they were doing the stop motion to create these. And maybe they were, who knows, but it's become a part of the detail of this. So we'll start up here with the cockpit. And it has, these are firing missiles. I'm not going to press them to shoot them out, but you can fire off those missiles. And unlike the old vintage AT-AT, to operate the guns underneath, there's actually just a lever. You can get the sound there. If I can get underneath here, you can see that's a lever right there. You just pull it back and forth to get it right there. So if we pop open the cockpit, I've got a couple figures in here. I got a couple AT-AT drivers. Oh, the light just happened there. And we've got General Veers standing here ready to go, which is kind of cool. I'll pull him out and you can see the detail that goes in there. Lots of phrases, lots of lights.
Let Skywalker escape.
Clearly not a line from the movie, but, it's fine.
Rebel forces spotted. Preparing attack vectors.
Distance to power generators.
Range to target. 17.28.
As you can see, the sticker on the clear plate there is the power generator.
Located.
That's it. The rebels are there. And Skywalker is there with them. The rebels are alerted to our presence.
There's a lot of phrases
Rebel forces
here.
in range. Forward deflectors at full power. Red lights.
Red lights. I never understood red lights. I know when this came out, nobody did. Like, where did that come from? Red lights. Were they afraid if they said red alert, it'd be Star Trek?
Target the rebel scum.
You see the detail in the cockpit there. That front red window is an actual window.
I reached the main power generators. All troops will debark for ground assault.
Don't fail me.
Prepare to target the main generator. Primary guns charged and ready. Target maximum firepower. The shield will be down in moments. You may start your landing.
I think that's where we came in there. So that is everything we've got inside the cockpit. Now, back here, this all opens up. And unlike the old AT-AT, which just had kind of one door, this has got two to open all the way up. As you see, I've got a couple more AT-AT drivers back here. There's a ladder in there that I put one on. He's just kind of hanging out. There's another button back here to give more sounds.
Rebel forces in range. Rebel snow speeder squadron approaching on your flank. Red lights.
Actually, get red lights when they say red lights now. Fun, huh?
All right, men, load your weapons. Troops standing by for deployment. Ground troops deployed, sir.
Lots of voices and stuff that are not from the movie, of course.
We're taking heavy fire, sir. Blizzard Squadron, objective completed.
actually mentioned Blizzard Squadron. So we look at this. You have foot pegs on this door that opens, so you can have some figures set here. Sometimes when you stop pressing the buttons and let it go, you get the walking sound. We've got this here, nice little hook. This is supposed to be a troop deployment, I guess. I can't imagine in a battle like you deploying all of your troopers this way, but it's got a little wheel in here that you can use to go up or down, whichever you want to bring the string in and out. I think actually, you just pull it to take it down, and then you can just wind it back up. Nice that they actually gave them a fence in here, you know, unlike in the Death Star. We do have a window back here. We'll talk about what's back here in a minute, but you can see a nice little window opens up. Underneath, you can see this little, here, try to get this right. This little hook right here. This is so you can attach a Luke Skywalker, so you can come up underneath and take out the AT-AT, because it actually has a door that opens here. To be kind of like he's done that. And we can pull this down like that. And if we press this button in here, it automatically winches that right back on up. Very loudly, but it does it. Now on this, while we have the doors that open here, the doors also open on the other side. So you kind of get that full play breadth there if you want. And same stuff on the other side. You have the same hook and everything like that over there. You do have a door over here again. Now the back end, this has got a launch bay with a speeder bike. So we get kind of the Hoth speeder bike, if you will. This was the slightly updated version of the original speeder bike, and then it has more accurate handles and everything. It's been in there a little while. It looks a little bent. It's a problem with my stuff being in storage for a little bit. But we do have the speeder bike there that can launch out. And I think if you press this button, yeah, you get that sound of it coming out so you can launch it. This does have a whole lot of sound. Up here we have buttons. Sound of it walking. Same. You can kind of overlap, which is nice. The last thing that's kind of a feature on this is you can see kind of something indented here. It's actually a lever. If I pull it out, number one, it's disguised to have guns on it, like so. Not that that ever existed on the AT-AT, but it actually makes it, when I turn the lever, the head will move. You can see that moving. It's very stiff, and you can make it go up and down. So it's kind of the replacement of the handle that was in the old vintage AT-AT on the inside. So pretty darn cool toy. I know when they announced this, I was like, how much bigger can it be from the original AT-AT? But my gosh, this thing is so cool. I've ended up picking up 3 of these basically because I have 2 of the Hoth ones and then 1 of the Endor ones. And they are just awesome. If you have a chance to pick one of these up, I highly recommend it. If you want to know more about the history of the AT-ATs, like I said, go back and look at episode 15 on my feed here, and you'll see the whole history of all the different AT-ATs. I included the Endor AT-ATs, the Kenner AT-ATs, these guys, vintage, even the AT-ACT from Rogue One. Last note here on the speeder bike, it only breaks apart into 2 pieces. There's no longer any button back here to explode it, so unlike the vintage one, that is a little different. I want to say like the main chassis here is about the same, slightly modded from the original speeder bike. There's a lot of elements that are the same here, but they just kind of updated this. Instead of having the T-bar and the old handlebars, you have more accurate handlebars here. It's all kind of this gloss white. And here's the underneath of the gun piece. It's kind of a rubbery, duh, you can tell how it's bent there. Kind of a rubbery, so it's not like the most quality thing. I know they've used this mold a few times, including in the Clone Wars and stuff like that. But, you know, get you another speeder bike, and you can actually goes back in here backwards, which is kind of weird. You know, like on the turbo tank, the speeder bike there shot out. And here it's like he has to back his bike out and then pull it out. It's kind of weird. Anyway, decided to take a look at that speeder bike really quick. Also, no, I didn't cover this, but the inside of this back end, I don't think I'd ever really looked at it before, but I noticed that there's there's foot pegs in here, so you can have figures all placed in there. There's, and obviously I've been back here because I had to put these little screen things back in here, which are kind of all over this AT-AT. Some design that they decided for this. You can see those, yeah. So it's got a little play area here in the back then too, which is kind of cool. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the big AT-AT. Of course, this came in a couple different brands. We had the original release, so the Shadows of the Dark Side packaging. It came in a vintage packaging and then re-released in Return of the Jedi vintage packaging as an Endor AT-AT. And if you want to, you can go and check my old reviews out. I know I have a review of like all the AT-ATs, kind of going through all the differences and changes. And in that, I do have like the Endor AT-AT, actually every AT-AT made in that. That was back just after the AT-ACT was released. So I went and did kind of the history of the AT-AT. This is an awesome vehicle. I love it. I've got a couple of them. They're great to have. Unfortunately, they're not as easy to find anymore. I'll be doing a few more large vehicle reviews. I know there's a few I haven't gotten to yet. I like to do like the Republic Shuttle from Clone Wars, maybe the Republic Y-Wing as well. It's kind of a bigger vehicle as well, and the Imperial Shuttle, and maybe some of the other Falcons besides the big Millennium Falcon. We'll see. There's lots of large vehicles, lots of Star Wars stuff to look at. I have plenty of it. So if you haven't already, please subscribe below. If you have any comments or questions, leave those below. I love to hear from you and respond back to you. Other than that, I hope you can join me next time when I have some more reviews out. Thank you so much for joining me today.